Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's eclectic DIY. I just dropped a microphone on the back of my hand, the boom arm. You know, the boom thing that screws to the side of your desk and it holds the microphone up. Well, that whole thing just disconnected, and I use a pod mic. It's a brand name called pod mic, and this thing's heavy, and now my hand hurts. That's what you wanted to hear when you listen to a podcast by Garden Fork, isn't it? All sorts of very relevant information that we provide here. But hey, I just had an interesting clothing buying experience that I wanted to share with you today. I wear mainly Carhartt clothing, and I've been seeing a lot of ads for Depop, D-E-P-O-P or D-E-B-O-P? Depop. I wrote it down here somewhere. Brain, Eric. I'll find it later, okay? There was a piece of paper here. This is the nightmare of mine. Oh, yes. Yeah, D-E-P-O-P. So Depop.com. You can buy and sell used clothing there. And I was like, because my young friends are telling me that my Carhartt clothing is worth a lot of money. So I went on there. And the only thing I have of value is called the Detroit jacket. It's the kind of waist cut work jacket that Carhartt makes. And I have one that is flannel lined instead of the quilted lining. And that's evidently a collector's item. It was selling for like $250, but I'm not going to sell it because I like it. But I could. And I looked up my pants, and I cut my pants. I sew patches on my pants to fix them. And my friend's like, oh, that makes it worth more. And I'm like, okay. And they were selling for like $40. And I'm like, it's not worth the bother. But I did find on Depop overalls that were used but still in good shape. Carhartt insulated overalls, which I'm interested in for ease of use, really. When I get up in the morning in the winter, it is wicked cold, and I put on layers and layers of clothes and then an Arctic jacket thing to go walk the dogs. And then I come home, I have to essentially get undressed again because the thermal underwear and shirt and all that, whatever you want to call that, is so, I'll say, very hot when you get back into the house. So my thought was with the overalls was they're insulated, and Carhartt offers 3 levels of insulation. We'll get to that later. More on that later. And I could just throw on the insulated overalls and a good sweater or something, and my winter jacket, super duper winter jacket, and go out and then come back and I take the overalls off and then I'm not sweating. So I was looking at the overalls they're selling on Depop, and some of them show the label, the size label, and some don't. And I looked at Carhartt, and theirs are just called mediums or larges, I think, with some numbers. But Carhartt said for my body type, height and weight and all that, I'm a medium in overalls. But I wasn't quite solidly sure about buying some of the clothes on Depop because they just said like medium overalls, but they didn't show a lot of them. When they're looking at pants wear, they show a tape measure with the inseam. And I'm like, okay, I'd like to know what the inseam is. And then the ones I was interested in sold, and there were some new ones that came back on there, but I'm like, let's go look at Carhartt because I've seen factory seconds by Carhartt for sale. There used to be a place in Greenpoint on the East River, if you're familiar with back in the day Greenpoint when it was, an industrial area and not a thing of these giant, what are they called? Condo towers. But you could buy factory seconds for a good discount. I bought some overalls there. Anyway, they have Amazon Renewed, and it's a separate website from Carhartt. Not Amazon Renewed, it's Carhartt Renewed. Amazon Renewed also has one, which I've talked about. And on Carhartt Renewed, they had overalls as well. And there are 3 tiers of insulation. There's 2, 3, and 4. 2 and 3 and extreme. Anyway, I was like, that's very interesting. And then they had, of course, they have it in black, and they had my size, a medium. And they show that the inseam is 30 or 32, which is fine for me. And so in addition to so then you have two different sets of wear. So you can have like, I don't know, I think it was called like new or very good or slightly worn. And I picked slightly worn. So that knocked $5 off the price of the renewed price already. So the new Carhartts are like $120 for the overalls. And then the reduced price was $75, I think. And then you take the $5 off, that's $70. And then Carhartt Renewed is having a summer sale on their winter gear of 12% off. So that took another like $9 off it. So for the price of buying maybe some stuff on Depop that fits, not quite sure of the condition, and if I have to return it, it's a pain. On Amazon, on Carhartt Renewed, I think they're factory seconds, or maybe someone wore them and returned them, which I'm fine with that, for almost the same price. And I thought, wow. So I hit the buy button on that. And I like shopping for a deal. It's something that I think what Nicole and I, my podcast co-host, have is finding good deals on quality products. And I'm a Carhartt fanboy. Their stuff lasts, and I like that. So a tangent to that was I was like, well, maybe I should just get some regular overalls as well. Just, the dungaree duck, whatever they call it, cotton duck. And I was looking at the Carhartt ones and they were kind of expensive. And then it popped into my head, Dickies is also a working clothes company. And I went over to Dickies and they have a pair of, summer weight overalls for $50. And then they're in black and they have sizing, very excellent sizing, and they had my size. And so I bought them and I got them the other day. I picked the economy shipping and they still came pretty quick and I like them. So then I thought, if you, they do it. I think that like one of the things pops up and says, send us your email address. We'll send you a 10% off or something. But I started getting emails from them because I thought, you can opt out of the email in the ordering page. But I thought, well, let's see what they send me. And they sent me within a couple days. And this is all actually tied into why I moved my email newsletter to a much simpler site is MailChimp and MailerLite and companies like that. Their strong point is you can tie them into your ordering system. And once you make an order, your email address is sent to their email database. And there's a decision tree that they set up there where, okay, he bought coveralls. Let's send him a discount code to buy a winter duck or dungaree jacket, And so they sent me, and then they sent me that, and then they sent an email about other items you might like and are on sale. And then they sent me a store-wide 25% off discount. And because I clicked on the 15% one because I wanted to see what they had, that might have triggered, and the fact that I didn't act on that email within X number of hours or days, they sent a 25% coupon after that, which I find brilliant and smart. And because you're not going to a store and buying Dickies, you're buying directly from them. So I think they make more money that way. So then they sent me this thing about a jacket they have on sale. It's a winter lightweight jacket, which is very much like the Carhartt Detroit. It's cut slightly differently, and but it's tempting, and it's $50, And I am famous for it's called the insulated Eisenhower jacket. It's cut a little longer than the Carhartt jacket, I think, but it has what I think is kind of a cleaner, formal look to it. I could wear it to like an art opening or something in Manhattan. Who knows? I mean, you should see what people wear to different events in New York City. And it's like stylish. So yeah, that was the Eric experience. I looked at Depop, and you could look on eBay, I'm sure, as well. And I do like searching for good deals. I'm not out to like, what's the word? Jerk around a company. Like if you can give them a second email address. They'll send you the coupon for a new customer. And I'm like, I'm not a new customer. I'm returning. So I don't do that. I just think that's bad karma. But I do like getting stuff. But I also realize that I don't buy a lot of new clothes because I just keep wearing them and repairing them. And I just wear the heck out of them. There is a pair of shorts that I'm going to put into the clothing recycled bin because they just won't hold up to the sewing machine anymore. You know what I'm going to say? Consider donating blood. Yeah, that's Eric's thing. But yeah, redcrossblood.org. It takes maybe a half an hour, and you get to have snacks afterward. They usually have like chocolate chip cookies, the Oreo kind of their Oreo brand. But anyway, check it out. There are some limitations. They want to know a health history from you. The first time you go, it'll take a little longer. Be sure to drink extra water for the 3 days before your appointment. That will help greatly with the donation. And just relax and realize that you're giving something to your neighborhood, your town, your community that they can't make in a laboratory. They can't make blood. Okay? redcrossblood.org. Takes a half hour of your time. You've done something for everyone else. And you feel good about that. All right? Thank you. A tangent to that is I spent almost a whole day, almost a whole work day, sewing, repairing a bunch of my clothing. The clothes that need repair they just fill up in a bag. And I was in our storage area in our apartment, and I thought, oh, that bag is full of stuff. Because I was also realizing that where are all my pants? And they were in this bag needing repair. And in the past, I've always sewn patches in from behind and then cut the fringy rip stuff off from the outside and run the sewing machine across the rip and just to solid it up. But you can still see it's a rip and there's some patch coming through. But kind of inspired by seeing what other people are doing where they are making the repair obvious on clothing to the point that I don't know what it's called. My friend Tony does this. He kind of crochets a patch on his clothing and it looks beautiful. It looks really cool. So I kind of already knew how to make like a patch out of, the duck cloth where you fold the edges over to make a seam. You can actually do a double seam, but I did a single seam. And so the patch stands kind of proud on the pant leg. It doesn't sit flat. It's not like an iron-on patch. But I made them for the fronts, and I shared this on my Patreon feed, by the way. I wonder, I'll link to that because I'll make it a public post, and you can see what my Patreon thing is all about. There are over 1,000 posts on there now because I just do not like social media, the Instagrams and Facebooks, Twitter things of the world today. I went on Facebook and I was like, it was just full of clickbait. But anyway, so now I want to make the patches look like it's a hack. It's like an addition to the pant. And then I realized that because before, sometimes I would run a patch all the way up from the knee all the way up to the pocket because that's where they seem to rip on me. And then I realized if I have a slight wearing of the knee, instead of throwing some cloth behind that, I could make one of these cool patches with the hem. And I've built in extra protection, extra cloth because I'm always crawling on my knees. My neighbor upstairs has a Wolf stove. If you know the Wolf brand, they look like restaurant stoves. And they needed to pull it out because there was a suspected mouse nest behind it. And they called Wolf, the appliance people, and said, we need to move the stove. How do we do that? And they said, oh, you need a professional. And then they called the alleged professional and they said, oh, you need an professional installer. They called them and they said, yeah, to move that is $1,000. And my neighbor friend told me this, and I said, I'll be up this afternoon to move your stove. And, 15 minutes later, I moved the stove out for them, and sure enough, there was mouse presence there. When you use the spray foam to fill up the hole, use the rodent stuff. Don't use the regular stuff. They'll chew through it. But anyway, I was on my knees the whole time, and I did not have my knee pads. And I'm like, wow, this is good that I had some patches on my knees here. How's that for a whack longitudinal tangent? I started out talking about buying some coveralls, and here we are talking about my neighbor being charged $1,000 to move a stove. The hands-on skills really come in handy. It's amazing how many people don't have that, and they will value your help. Like I put a new door lock on the other day, and they were like, how do you do that? I said there were 4 screws. And you do have to line it up and sometimes chisel a little bit. And, if the door is dragging when it closes, you got to clean that up, and then you adjust the door closer, like a pneumatic door closer. But if you have those skills, and I think anyone that listens to this has that kind of talents, you are very valuable to your friends. So there you go. All right, I will link to a picture of my patches I did, and also the Eisenhower jacket. I'll link to that, and I'll throw in a bonus picture of the beehive mess I'm dealing with. It's going to be a multi-visit video, and we're 2 visits in, but we're going good with it. And there was something else I wanted to tell you that just went right out of my brain. So, all right, let me know. It's gardenfork87@gmail. We have a new address, gardenfork87@gmail.com. Oh, also, I got a ton of responses to the email newsletter ask where I asked you. If you haven't done this already, could you go back maybe in your spam or your junk mail, look for my email that says, please help me with this, and just send me a reply. You can say hello or whatever, but the amount of replies with like a sentence or 2 or a paragraph was so cool. It was just really cool. So thank you all for that. I have to reply to everyone. I'm going to send everyone that replied a picture of the pups, the big knuckleheads. All right. gardenfork87@gmail.com. I do really like hearing from you. And yeah, if you want me to read it on the show, I'll read it on the show. You could ask questions or something, or share cool stories about moving stoves that someone wanted to charge them $1,000 for. All right, everyone, go out and do cool stuff. Make it a great day. I'll see you. Thanks. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media, LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.